Welcome back to First Dates with Old Mates, a show where I get to know people better. Our next guest, Scott, I have known my entire life. Has it made me a better person? I guess we'll find out soon. We talk about the struggles of changing occupations, how life was moving to Bali and starting a new job in a place where you don't speak the language. We touch on some family stuff that led us to who we are today, and finish off with our famous speed dating round. Like any date, we don't know what awaits us, but let's see how things are going.
Uh, well, in Bali, it's mainly bintang
That's
and
it.
crossed and basic shit. But yeah, there's more variety here. Put it that way.
Beautiful. So tell me about yourself.
Um, I'm your older brother
Thank you.
of 6
Didn't know
years.
that.
Of 6 years. I recently turned 40 years old. I've spent the last 5 years living and working overseas. I've recently come back to Australia. I have no idea what's next in my life, but that's a little bit scary and a little bit exciting at the same time. And I'm responsible for everything good that you've done in your life.
That includes
Basically,
teaching me to walk just so you can trip me over.
again, building character,
Oh yeah.
courage, resilience. If there's one thing that you and I have in common, it's that we both think I'm hilarious.
Yeah.
So it's a good start.
I want to go back a little bit. How did you spend your 20s?
Oh man, 20s was way too much. If it's gonna be a raw podcast, way too much partying, way too much drinking, way too much drug abuse, way too much running away from basically our childhood, I would say, to be honest.
Yep.
Did you think I was going to go this deep straight away?
I did not. I was not expecting it. But we're there. We might as well.
Hey, it's raw and real, my friend.
Hey,
It's raw and real.
I'm sure you'll be
And
crying by the end
but
of it, so it's fine.
but can I say that I didn't realize at the time that's what was going on. But if I look back now as an older, more hopefully more wiser person, I would say it was a lot of self-medicating.
And
If that
do you
makes sense.
regret that stuff, or do you think that you've learnt from it? Like you wouldn't be the person you are today if you didn't go through that.
Yeah, and even to go back further, the things that I was self-medicating for, which would be our upbringing, is also why I am the person I am today. So I think to look back and regret anything from that, I think it's more of a case of it's a win or a learn situation.
Yeah.
So you either you do well or you make bad decisions, but you learn from those bad decisions. Hopefully, you learn from the bad decisions.
Yeah, I know even from my 20s as well, having the same type of experience, you can look back and see the people that you knew that went a completely different direction to where we went, that are off the
Yeah,
rails.
right. Very, very true. And again, yeah, and I don't, yeah. Well, I had friends that I was in that lifestyle with, who, yeah, went in very bad directions, and luckily for me, I didn't go in that direction. So,
Yeah. Why do
but
you
it
think
could
you
have gone.
didn't go in that direction?
Uh, I don't know, man. I think it's. I'll give you an example. One friend that I had was a good friend at the time, still a good friend if I saw him and hung out with him. We would go out all night doing things we shouldn't be doing. And then at the end of the night, like I'm talking 5 a.m., 6 a.m., I'd be going home, ready for bed. And he'd be on the phone trying to continue the party. And he would for 3 or 4 days. So whatever he had in him, I just didn't have in myself.
Yeah.
And I have no idea why or what it was, but if that makes sense. And he ended up in rehab and not in a good place.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I was okay with just going out and medicating, if you want to call it that, having a good time, and then going home and it was time to go home. So I don't know if that's a genetic thing. No idea.
Do
I
you
think
think
some
that
people have that addiction thing and some people don't, and I don't have it.
you don't think that you're predispositioned to be addicted to that?
I think I was
Yeah.
predispositioned from, but that's what I'm saying. I don't think I got that.
Yeah.
If I did, I would have been with him for 3 or 4 days, continuing that lifestyle.
Do you see addiction in other things you do? So instead of doing that, do you focus on one thing and are addicted to that, like whether it's fitness or gym or eating or?
Not really, man. Not really. I wouldn't say it. Yeah, not really. I've never been in a situation where I've been doing something that I couldn't stop doing it.
Yeah.
I would still catch myself. I would catch myself later in life avoiding emotions. I would say that.
Yeah.
And I had to learn to sit down and process the emotions, because if you don't, it usually ends up coming back to bite you on the ass.
Yeah. Yeah. Boxing the stuff up and holding onto it doesn't do anyone any good.
Yeah. And exactly, and it comes out like it will come out in relationships, whether that be friends, business, or intimate relationships. It all reveals itself.
Yeah.
And shows you what you're not dealing with. Yeah. If you can be aware enough to notice it.
Exactly. Now, on a lighter side, what did you do for work in your 20s?
Hospo, bro. I was working in Shooters. What year was that? So first thing I was doing was personal training. I started up my own company. Do you remember that?
Yeah, you used to give us like massages. You'd do massage courses and come home and be like,
that was
can I just test this out on you? It's like, yes.
I did the massage course after I had the PT business, because I wanted to add it into the whole thing.
Yeah.
The first thing I did was that. Then I had the neck breaking incident, which the doctor said to me, you can't do anything to do with physical exercise.
Can you just elaborate on
that? Yeah. So I went away on a holiday with some friends to the Whitsundays. We were staying with our friend Kate Delaney, as you know.
Mm-hmm.
And she was working on the island at the time. So she knew the staff, obviously, and we were living in the staff quarters and getting all the staff benefits, which includes a lot of unpaid drinking and eating. I think it was towards the end of the holiday. We had a massive night. Everyone went for a walk up some fancy point lookout thing, came back, and someone said, let's go for a swim. So we did. I jumped into the pool. I don't know if I dived in or I fell in or what happened, but as soon as I hit the water, I came out going, something's like I was in pain in my head and neck area. My shoulders were in pain, and somehow got out of the pool, went back to our room, had a shower, and I think my other friend Elaine, who I think you know, came in and found me passed out in the shower, just like this. And somehow she got me into bed, God knows how, and woke up in the morning flat on my back, and I couldn't get up, like I couldn't lean forward.
Yep.
So I kind of scurried down the end of the bed, flopped off the bed, and had no idea what was going on. And we had a trip booked from that island, which was Long Island, over to Hamilton Island that day. And I assumed that I had pinched a nerve in my shoulder or my neck or something. On the boat to Hamilton Island, it was quite choppy, and every little chop was just like excruciating pain in neck and shoulders area. So when I got there, I said, I've got to go and see a doctor. So I went to the local thingy, and there was a nurse there. And I remember she had me fill out the new patient form.
Yeah.
And as I was writing it, my hands were like, I couldn't stop shaking like this. Yeah, and I'm like, what the hell was going on? And went into the doctor, and I said to him, I could feel tingling in these 3 fingers.
Yep.
And he kind of was like shocked, and he put me in a neck brace straight away. And he said, you need to go home like right now and get a x-ray. So I think we had, one day before we were going home, or actually, I think I might have left early. I had to book a flight. Got home, went straight from the airport to the hospital, Gold Coast Hospital. They did an x-ray and came back and said, you've broken your neck. I was like, holy shit. Bit shocked. Yeah.
Just a bit.
They said you're lucky because when you were walking around on the boat, whatever, if someone bumped you or you fell over, that bone that was floating loose could have hit your spinal cord and you were gone. Dunsky.
What were you thinking, man?
I can't remember, man, to be honest. I don't know. I was 21 or something, 22.
Yeah.
I don't remember. But shocked because it was then, okay, well, one doctor wanted to operate and they wanted to go through the neck here to get to the anterior part of the vertebrae that was broken. It was squashed and cracked in half. But they said there's a risk that if we do that, half your face might drop. So it's like, what else can we do? What's plan B?
Not this pretty thing.
They say this is a piece of art. So he said, look, we'll put you in a really hard plastic neck brace for 8 months. I think 8 months or something. And if at the end of that it's not healed, we have to go through your neck and do the operation.
Yeah.
But with some luck, it will heal okay, and you should be okay. And with luck, it healed okay. And that was 8 months at home in a hard neck brace, sleeping in it, showering in it, the whole thing.
I remember you complained so much.
Dude, I had a fucking broken neck. If you ever have an excuse to complain,
oh god,
it's when you break your neck.
You used to scratch your neck with a ruler all the time. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and Nan used to put baby powder.
Yeah.
All over my neck because of the rash. So yeah, it was good fun. It was huge, bro. But again, I don't think I ever processed that properly because at the time I had started the new PT business.
Yeah.
And I'd worked up to where I had a good like. At the time, I think I was making like $700 a week, which was fucking amazing at that age and that time.
And this was before everyone wanted to be a PT too. It's not like now.
I was an OG. I was an OG Gold Coast personal trainer. But I was learning how, like I was walking around the streets of all the fancy places in the Gold Coast, putting flyers in every letterbox, trying to get clients. I had a little bench and a bag full of weights. And I remember I got this one client, I think her name was Veronica. She was just like I don't know, probably middle-aged lady. And she wanted 3 sessions a week. And then her mum who lived with her jumped on for 3 sessions also. So that gave me a great head start into getting, and it just grew from there a little bit. And then to be told instantly that you can't do that anymore is just pretty full on.
Yeah, it's hard.
But I was young, you know.
So after that, you went into hospital?
After that, when I was healed and okay to do something, I needed a job and looked at that time it was the classifieds in the newspaper. There was no internet.
So old.
Yeah, and there was a job at the Indy. Remember Indy on the Gold Coast?
Yeah,
the Indy race, which is now the V8 thing, I think. Yeah, and it was just working in a bar there, and it turned out to be the shooters bar on the course.
Yeah.
And after that, I was offered a job at shooters. So then I went, well, I've got nothing else to do. And the people I was working with was cool.
Yeah.
You remember Brett Heiniger?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he was the guy that was running the on track thing and the one who offered me the job.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So ended up there, stayed there for, I don't know, 5 years, was it? Then ended up, when it was sold to someone else, I still stayed there for a little bit. And then, the people who had sold it opened up East in Broadbeach, the new venue.
Yep.
And then they kind of poached me to go and work there.
Nice.
That was pretty much my 20s. And I think working in the hospitality industry comes with that party lifestyle.
Yeah, you can't.
Whether you like it or not. Like, yeah, good luck avoiding that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, doesn't matter.
It just happens. So yeah.
Yeah, even if you don't want to do it, takes over what you do.
Yeah, it's impossible to avoid.
Yeah, but that's why people love the Gold Coast.
Yeah, of course. And don't get me wrong, I had lots of fun, man. I met some cool people, had great times. That's the thing about hospitality people. They're hospitable. They're very friendly and outgoing and fun and correct?
Yeah, most of them. Most of them.
You work there too. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, they are. They are a good bunch of people.
Yeah.
The big difference from hospitality into retail now is I remember in hospitality, when you're behind a bar, you can say whatever you want to the customers and it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like whatever you want. You know,
Not now.
You just in retail you can't do that. It's not the same at all.
Well, you could, but it just wouldn't work out well.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a job. That would be the problem. That brings us to our 30s. What did you do after East?
So at East, what happened? That's when. Okay, so we were buying, I was buying gas for East from a company called Supergas. And the rep was a lady named Teresa, who me and her got along really well. And I was at the point where I was just sick of being in that role, because if I would work daytimes, I'd still get calls at night because the till wasn't doing what it was meant to do, or this product wasn't working properly. And it was doing my head in being constantly on call, and then stupidly I set myself up so that if they did call me, I could log in from home and fix anything on the tills,
and they would have known
and
that.
so
that
gets more calls. I needed to change, and I was talking to her one day. She must have caught me on a bad day, and I must have been bitching about something. And she said, "Oh, well, Supergas is hiring truck drivers." I'm like, "That's interesting. It's not something I ever thought about." And it was something I was intimidated by, was driving a truck. I went, "Well, fuck it. If I'm intimidated by it, I'm just going to go and do it and just see what happens." So I got my license and I went and had an interview, I think. And they're like, "Yeah, sure, come have a go." And I thoroughly enjoyed doing something that was autonomous. I didn't have to think too much. There was no responsibility for other people. I was doing a run that started at Ipswich, west of Brisbane, and went out to Toowoomba. So it's country Queensland. So I was dropping off to like people that reminded me of our grandpa. Like, you know what I mean? Workers in welding shops and that kind of stuff. And it's like, so many of them would give you a cup of coffee or a cup of tea and just want to have a chat with you, and you get to know the people on your run. And I mean, you're starting early in the morning, you're cruising out when the sun's coming up, you've got the podcast playing. It was from all the responsibility to just get here and do that, get here and do that, get here and do that.
No stress.
It was it was. And the guys you're working with, again, they're just good, good guys. I had great times. I'm very grateful for the time I had there, because I think at that time I needed the break and the mental slowdown, the relaxation, and it was physical too. So gas bottles are fucking heavy, man. So it got me in shape and I was fit. And
did you miss having interaction? I know you had the interaction with the people on your route, but it's not the same as like working with a group of people that you would have at East or at Shooters.
It was just like a couple of us guys had a group chat going, and we chat all day to each other while we're dropping off, just talking shit, Not at all, man, not at all. And every morning you saw everyone. So you were shooting the shit. There was lots of Islander boys, lots of Maoris, and I love those guys. They're amazing, funny.
Why did you stop doing that?
Because Glenn offered me the job in Jakarta. And I'm like, well, you can't say no to that. It's not every day. I think from memory, I was talking to him about Southeast Asia and Thailand. And at the time, he was investigating some opportunities he had in that region. And he said he was looking for someone he could trust to go over there and set up an office in Indonesia and kind of run the things. And I said, well, I don't know anything about IT, which is what his company does. And he said, well, I don't need you to. I just need you to be able to hire the people to do. And I just need you to manage them. And I need someone in that position I can trust, and I trust you. So I'm like, well, I had an instant feeling of overwhelming and insecurity and fear about doing it. I'm like, well, that's the reason I've got to do it. So I said yes.
So when you change jobs, like the last two jobs that you've changed, you've done it because you wanted to grow, I guess? You either, like, you felt like you wanted to grow or experience something different.
Yeah, the change from the hospo to the gas delivery job was about, I needed a break. And I don't know if you remember this, and then we're going to go deep again, but this was around the same time Mum was in the institution. And all that stress was happening. And as you know, the reason she was there was because I put her in there against her will. We're going deep, man. We want to see. So I think at that time I just needed a complete exit from what I was doing to change. The accepting the job in Jakarta was facing a fear or an insecurity in myself. and I had to prove to myself that I could do something like that.
Was there also a bit of selfish relief about leaving all of that behind and starting something new?
There probably was a whole lot of escaping the mum situation.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Nice. And
Absolutely.
how
You realize that we could do a whole podcast series on our mother.
Yeah. Our upbringing?
Yes, or how to deal with people with mental illness, drug addiction, alcoholism.
Yeah.
Experts.
Yeah.
Experts.
Drink a lot and move away.
Run away. Run away.
And what was the scariest part about going to Jakarta? Was it the job? Was it not knowing the language? Was it a combination of everything?
A combination of not knowing anything about an IT company, not knowing anyone who lived in the country, first time living and working outside of Australia.
You've got a lot of expat friends now. How did you discover them while you're in Bali?
Well, that was in Bali, man. I went to Jakarta first.
Yeah.
I spent the first year and a bit, or I think about a year in Jakarta.
Yeah.
And I didn't have any expat friends in Jakarta. It was all local friends. And I really loved that because I didn't want to be the foreigner who moved to a different country and just hung around foreigners.
Yeah.
I wanted to really get into the culture. I remember, man, the first day I was living in a hotel, and the first day I was walking out to the pool, and one of the staff walked past me, and I said something in Indonesian to him, something I'd learnt, like I forget what it was, hello or something. And he turned around and came back, and he grabbed my hand and looked me in the eyes and said, "Thank you for learning our language."
Really?
And when he said that, I was like, "Oh, I need to learn the language." It means a lot. It means a lot to them to make the effort. Yeah. So I did.
It shows that you care. You're not just another. I was talking about this with Chris. You're not just another white person that's come to the country,
right?
And you think that they should be learning your language,
right, man? I see that. You see that a lot when you live overseas, unfortunately. But the best thing I ever did was learn that. And an old man taxi driver, when he found out I was brand new in Indonesia, he taught me how to say in Indonesian, hello, you're beautiful. Can I please have your phone number? In a polite way. In a polite way, right?
Yeah.
So the funny thing is that when I would just go out and try to say it to someone at the hotel bar, I would say it wrong, but they knew what I was trying to say, and they would laugh and then engage me in more conversation.
Yeah. And
fix my errors. That's the females, and the males would hear me start laughing at what I'm doing and then engage me again. So it was a way to break down barriers and to get to know people, was to learn how to be cheeky and a little bit flirtatious in their language. And that led to them teaching me more things about how to do that more and be more cheeky and more flirtatious. And that was just breaking down barriers.
And how confident are you speaking Indonesian now?
To have a full-blown quick conversation, I can't do that, because the thing with Indonesian is there's so much slang and it's different for every region. There's a formal language that you use in business or formal settings, but the slang is so wide and varied.
Yeah. Are there different dialects?
Of course. And they cut words in half sometimes. So, yeah. If someone's talking about me, I know they're talking about me. And I know what they're saying. But I can't have a full-blown conversation with someone who doesn't understand English at all. I can get around easily. I tried getting lessons for a bit, but that was like, how do you say chair or table or floor, things I don't use every day.
Yeah, it'd be better if you're experiencing it talking to people.
I wanted to know how to tell a taxi driver where to go.
Yeah. That
kind of thing. So I would ask people at the hotel, some of my staff that I'd hired, I'd ask them how to say things. And they'd fuck with me too. They would tell me things I say that I shouldn't be saying. Just laugh their ass off. But you learn. And then having an Indonesian girlfriend helps, because when they're angry, they're just trying to take notes of what they're saying. So yeah.
Great. And is the best part of being in Bali the fact that they call you Mr. Scott all the time?
They don't call me Mr. Scott. They call me Mr. Scott. They call me Bule, which means foreigner.
Bule. is it true that your hotel room was like 4 blocks from where you worked, and you still would get a car service there every day because it
Right.
was too hot for you to walk?
Again, this was Jakarta, not Bali. Okay, so you're crisscrossing between the two.
Okay.
In yeah, in Jakarta is the kind of humid that if I had to wear a business suit without a jacket, but it's like when you walk out of the hotel to get into the taxi, you're already sweating.
All I'm hearing is an excuses for you getting paid
Yeah,
car service. Yeah.
taxis. I could have walked. It's about maybe 400 meters across 4 lanes of a busy highway, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or I could sit in an air-conditioned taxi and get dropped off at the door.
And why did you go from Jakarta to Bali?
We were looking for another office in Jakarta, a bit more space. And at that stage, the company's whole direction had shifted from what it was originally for to operating as basically an offshore support center for the customers in Australia. So at that stage, it didn't matter where we were. We could have been anywhere.
Yeah.
And one of my staff members at the time said, "Why don't you do it in Bali?" I'm like, "Well, I've never been to Bali." So Glenn was coming to Jakarta, I think in a couple of weeks' time. And when he got there, I explained to him, look, cost efficiency, because we don't need to be in Jakarta, it could be a better option to go to Bali. So me and him went to Bali for the weekend, and that was a done deal. Like, I think I took him to a beach club called Kudeta or something like that.
Yep.
One of those ones, and it was sold. We spent like one day looking for office space and that kind of stuff, and most of the staff were happy to relocate from Jakarta to Bali.
What's the lifestyle difference from Jakarta to Bali?
Like, let's say the center of Melbourne to the Gold Coast.
Okay.
Yeah, Jakarta is a huge city. It's huge, widely populated. Traffic is insane. So bad that if you have 2 meetings in one day, you're not going to get to the second meeting on time.
Wow.
Yeah. It's a fantastic place, but there's so many people, there's so much pollution. You rarely get a blue sky with sun. It's always gray or hazy and overcast.
Yeah. That's crazy.
But again, amazing experience. And Bali's like a tropical island, so it's
a holiday destination. You're working in a holiday destination.
Full of idiot Australians, unfortunately. And I say that as an Australian.
Did you try and separate yourself from those, I don't know, bogans, for lack of a better word?
Absolutely, man. One of my good friends now, Sunny, he's an Aussie guy. And when we met each other, we both had this feeling that we told each other later on, which was like, "Oh, not another fucking Australian." But yeah, it's unfortunate, man. It's funny when you move out of your country and you see how people think about your country and your people from outside of it. Yeah. It's quite funny. But then you see how, not all of them, how many of them behave in those other countries, and you totally understand where the stereotype comes from.
And did you
I remember staying in the first hotel I was staying at in Kuta, unfortunately, being on the rooftop, sitting by the pool bar, enjoying a cocktail, and witnessing how other, unfortunately, Australian travelers were talking to the staff behind the bar and just being disgusted.
Yeah.
Because those same staff I was chatting to, getting lots of information, they were telling me things about Bali. They gave me their phone number if I need help, just from being polite, and it's heartbreaking to see other people talk down to them because they've arrived in Bali with a little bit of money,
which turns into a lot of money.
Yeah, well, it is, but they think it's an inferiority thing, right? Superiority thing, so.
Yeah, it has to be. It's sad to see it. Like, you're treating people, anywhere, you're treating hospitality staff or retail staff or anyone like they're less than you, because they're trying to help you do something or provide you a service. So apparently, automatically, they're less than you.
It's a good judge of character, bro, to see how people talk to people in service industries.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah, you can tell a lot about a person.
And working in Bali, what was your day-to-day routine?
Okay, so when I first moved to Bali, we set up. Well, I moved the main office to Bali, but I still had, I think, 4 staff in Jakarta. So I had 2 offices, and I was obviously based in Bali. I didn't want to live in Jakarta anymore. So I was going back and forth every 2 weeks or every month. At that time, we had hired a salesperson in Jakarta to try and sell our services in Jakarta, while at the same time, I'm in Bali running the support staff in the, let's say, a call center, even though there weren't many calls going on. It was more online stuff, chatting, emails.
Yeah.
At the same time. So it'd be basically office work, man.
Yep.
That was it. And until I had the real estate company going, and that was a separate older version.
Yeah. So once the Glenn's company shut down in Bali and you moved on to real estate, why did you? I've always wanted to know why you chose to go into real estate over any of the other stuff.
There was a crossover there because
okay.
I was still working for VFS. At the time, I was dating my ex-girlfriend, and she was working in real estate. And she had left the company she was working for and was trying to do like a freelance thingy.
Yeah.
And the reason she was having a little bit of problem was not having a company flag, a email address, a website, like a company bank account, that kind of thing. So I said, well, look, we can set it up. I'll set it up for you. I'll run the business admin or the back end. You take care of the sales side of things while I was still working the full-time job.
Okay.
There was again, the reason for having the offshore office for the IT company worked was there was a huge workload in Australia, and the Indonesian team were just as qualified and half the price to fix those same problems, right? But what happened was it turned out, and we found this out by hiring someone highly qualified in Australia, that most of the workload was all bullshit. The engineering team were keeping the workload looking large to justify their jobs and their friends' jobs and the whole team being as big as it was. Yeah. So that's the reason I had the job over there, was to take care of the huge amount of workload, but while reducing the company operational costs.
Yeah.
Then this new guy went around to every customer and fixed all the problems that were causing the inflated workload. And I could see this happening, and I was so slowly figuring out that there was going to be no financial reasoning to keep the Indonesian operation going.
Yeah.
I was preempting what was going to happen. So and also the Australian engineers didn't want the Indonesian team to be successful because it meant less work for them, and they knew what that meant would be they would start losing their jobs and we'd hire more in Indonesia. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I set up the company, the real estate company on the side. We had that kind of going. And when this started to happen, I needed to either pivot across to the real estate thing, or I was leaving Indonesia, which I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
So I didn't have a choice. I didn't choose real estate. I helped someone else set it up. And that's what I had a chance to move into when I knew what was going to happen.
And starting something, again, completely different to what you've done before, you've got that confidence now, I'm assuming, because you've done it a couple of times?
So at this point, I was like, if anyone else can do it, why can't I do it?
Yeah.
What's stopping me from doing it?
And
maybe that's too much confidence, but I was like, well, if I don't try, I'll regret not trying it.
Yeah.
Later on.
And is real estate, because in real estate in Australia, you need a real estate license, you've got to sit a course and all this other stuff. Is it the same thing in Bali?
Not me as the business owner, but the sales team have to be qualified or go and get a license and sit an exam to get their sales license. And to have a licensed real estate office, you have to have an employee with their sales license.
Okay, yeah.
So we sent 2 of them to Jakarta to sit those exams, and they came back qualified, which is what we needed to get our operational license in Bali for the real estate.
And did you find that you fell into it quite easily, or was it challenging?
Challenging because I'd never done real estate, especially never done it in Indonesia. So you have to learn a lot about the property laws, the ownership structures, what's legal for foreigners as opposed to locals.
Because foreigners can't buy
Lots of
in
things.
Indonesia, right? They have to do long-term rentals.
They can do they call it leasehold.
Yep.
It can be up to 30 years, extendable. The only way they can own property outright is if they were like me and had a work permit in Indonesia. They can do a thing. Again, we're getting into the weeds now, but they can kind of own it, close to owning it, but not really owning it. It's called hack pakai, or you can set up a company, and the company can purchase the property.
If you're a foreigner, can you start a company in Indonesia?
Sure, that's what I did. That's what we did.
Yeah, true. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
There's you can do it. You can have a local owned company or a foreign owned company. If the company has 1% ownership by a foreigner, it's automatically a foreign owned company.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, what I haven't touched
but
on,
a lot of things that I learned from setting up the IT business in Jakarta, made it very easy for me to set up the real estate business on my own in Bali.
Okay.
I knew the steps, the processes, the hoops you got to jump through, the whole thing.
This episode of First Dates with Old Mates is brought to you by aoncraft.com.au. For all your homemade custom dice needs, aoncraft.com.au has everything you need. Made right here in Australia by Alan. You've got a choice of apparel, dice, keychains, game trays, pins, and much more. All homemade, all personally made by Alan. You can see him making them on Twitch at aoncraft. Check him out. Some new release products here. And one of my personal favorite die, the Milkshake Madness collection. Look at they, aren't they pretty? Reviews from Australia, America, and across the globe. Check him out. But why we are here today is apparel. Use code OLDMATES for 10% off apparel. That's OLDMATES, all one word, for 10% off apparel. Check out some of these shirts. If you don't have Christmas gifts for some of your family today, anyone that loves dice games, board games, D&D, any tabletop related, this is it. This is the merch you're looking for. aoncraft.com.au. Check him out. The real estate company, you also did like advertising and marketing. Did that?
Yeah, I did everything.
I want to touch on your vlogs and your YouTube page. What came first? Yep. Were you making vlogs about Bali and Indonesia first, or were you making the advertising and marketing material for the real estate company?
It all kind of happened at the same time. At this stage, I was listening and watching a lot of Gary Vee stuff on YouTube.
Yep.
Yeah, it was all about personal brand over business brand.
Yep.
And in that situation, being in somewhere like Bali, I needed as many people to know who I was and what I did. So I started vlogging my days at work, or some of my days at work. I'd also vlog times I wasn't at work, just to try and get as many eyes as possible onto that.
Yeah.
Which would hopefully lead to business.
Okay. I'm just going to bring up your Scott Paul, My Life in Bali. Just over here. So we were talking earlier, and there's one video that you like in particular. Can you see that one?
Yeah, I can see it.
As it's going through, because I can't play the audio track for it, just tell us what's happening.
So, well, this one had nothing to do with work. This was a holiday that me and Anna went on to a place called Labuan Bajo in Flores. It's about a 2-hour flight from Bali. Where we are now, right now, is Komodo Island with the Komodo dragons, which you're going to see. There you go.
That thing is huge.
Those things, man, they are freaky, because it could turn on you at any second.
Oh, that's huge.
It's a fucking dinosaur, bro.
But are there heaps of them walking around?
No, we saw probably, they take you on a walk, and you can go on a short walk or a long walk. And we went on a short walk, didn't see anything. And this, where we are now, is coming back to the start of the walk. And there was this dragon hanging out on the beach.
Dude.
Yeah. So this is a I think it's called Pink Beach. It's just around the corner from where the dragons are. there was a mini shark. See, these kind of people, man, the people that work on the beach huts and that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
sitting down and having a conversation with them in Indonesian
Yeah. It
is
makes all the difference.
difficult, but it's great. Like, that's what I love.
Well, I
Like,
remember when I came over to visit you and we went on the kayak canoe tour thing, and it was
yeah,
the
yeah,
same thing. Halfway through, there was like those people selling drinks and stuff, and it was
yeah,
different compared to you sitting down and talking to them, like us
yeah,
sitting there and talking to them, to the other people that were on that tour that kind of just
correct.
got their drinks and
Yeah,
like went away.
yeah.
They were so
I mean,
lovely and opening.
with, with the local language, a little bit goes a long way. So if you make an effort with small things,
Yeah.
you get a lot back from the local people. This place here, funny story, the guy who we hired the boat with forgot the snorkeling equipment, and we were meant to go snorkeling. So he said, shit, I'll take you back to my house and pick up the snorkeling equipment. So we stopped at this little island, which was full of local people, just to pick up the snorkeling equipment. And because I'm the white guy, all the kids start running out and are super interested in who I am and what I'm doing. And then
That's
they're
really
jumping
cool.
off the boat. Here we go. Yeah. Now watch how many come out.
How big's the island?
It's tiny. Now they come out and they're doing backflips and jumping in. They know I'm filming with my GoPro. This was the best part of the whole trip. This was the best part of the whole trip. At the last part there, Anna pulls out the equivalent of $10
Yeah.
and gives it to one kid, and one kid takes off, and the rest of the kids start running out. That's the kind of thing that warms your heart, man. When you see just kids like that don't have any technology,
Yeah.
no bullshit. It's just, yeah, that's the life-changing things. Don't know where we're going now. I think we're going to a cave. Yeah, got to catch a boat to this little underground cave, which was also amazing. This kid too is the boat driver's or the captain's son, and the dad drops him off with us, and he's our tour. So
Oh, really?
That's the kid taking us down to this cave.
Oh, wow.
That's amazing, bro. Amazing. And then the kid is with the other kid who's a guide for another group. So all the dads must just drop the kids off and say, take them on a tour.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And you've got comfortable riding a scooter now, moped?
Yeah, man. In Jakarta, I wouldn't drive one. I was a passenger on a taxi scooter thing they call Ojeks.
Yep.
But in Bali, yeah, the second I got it was the best thing. So now we are at a building site, or I forget what the hotel is, a brand new hotel, but a well-known brand. And just using Anna's drone to get some cool footage of the place.
It's going to sound really ignorant, but is all of Bali like that? Like, because the parts that I saw were beautiful.
This is not Bali. This is
it?
a complete different island. Yeah,
Ah.
called Flores.
But all the islands of Indonesia are beautiful like that.
The ones I've been to, yeah.
Nice.
It's a stunning part of the world, man. It really is, especially around like the crystal clear water, the snorkeling, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's amazing.
How much of your day is every day? Are you shooting something with the GoPro?
No, it depends. If I had a day, well, actually, at one stage it was every day because it would just be everything. It would be my ride. Sometimes half of the video would be my commute to my office.
Yeah.
Rice fields, driving past the bikes. That would be half the video, right?
Yeah.
And if I was talking to brand new clients, I wouldn't have the GoPro out. But if I was going to do a viewing with some clients that already knew me and were comfortable, I would ask them if it's okay, and I would just film some stuff at the viewing.
And
if I went to see a new,
okay with it?
Yeah, sure. If I went to see a new villa or a new property, I would definitely film that whole thing, and I would just edit the best bits out of it and put it together quickly.
Nice. Do you think, because a lot of your videos are you in the water, whether it's like pool or beach, or did that come from growing up on the Gold Coast?
Yeah, man. But so the reason I bought the GoPro was I started going early mornings before work down to the beach for a swim, body surf, and a place in Seminyak, again out the front of a place called Coup d'Etat, has really good sandbanks. And if the waves were big enough, it was huge closeout hollow barrels. And I was getting destroyed body surfing. But I was getting in the mornings, the sun is coming up behind the beach. So
Yeah.
the sun was coming through the lip of the wave. For the split second I was inside it, it was like amazing experience. I thought, I want to record this. So that was the reason I first bought the camera.
I've got one here. I don't know whether this is going to be one of them or not. I'll bring it back up.
No, this is Lombok. This is Lombok.
That's not it.
Go back to the screen. If you keep going, you'll see somewhere it's me in the water. That one, go back, up. See the blue one? Keep going.
That one?
There. Yeah, try that one. 78 beach.
Gotta get better internet.
This was, okay, this will be a little bit of it, I think.
And how's the surf in Bali compared to Gold Coast?
So that's what I was doing there. Getting absolutely, it's very shallow on a sandbank, and you're getting just worked into the. But an awesome way to start your day before work, going down there at 6 a.m., 7 a.m.
It's a mindset how you start your day.
It made so much difference. Yeah. By the time I got to the office, I was full of energy.
Yeah. If you wake up and you're already stressed and rushing and you have to sit in traffic and a commute and you're already annoyed by the time that you get to work, it's going to throw your whole day out. Yeah.
That was fantastic.
It's crazy.
And that just led to me recording random things. And then I'd be doing a viewing somewhere, and some random person I didn't know would go, that's Instagram, you're the guy. Like, oh, shit. It's working. It's working. Classic.
Oh, that's so good. How do you feel when you're in the ocean? Is it freeing for you?
Yeah, man. Remember, I used to do a bit of bodyboarding back in my school days.
Yeah.
And that's when I first found the love for the ocean. And even now, I feel, to sound cliche, drawn to it, in some sense. Where, I love being inside the waves, man. I've never surfed, at all. Only bodyboarded and body surfed, but yeah, I love it.
That's awesome. And the other thing I want to touch on is tattoos.
Yeah.
Tell me about them.
I regret all of them.
How many of them do you regret?
All of them.
Do you really?
Yeah, all of them.
Why?
I don't regret them, man.
Can we just?
Well, it's funny,
Just tell everyone what you've got.
On the back, I've got the 4, 1, 2, 3, 5. I think they're called sakyants. They're traditional Thai tattoos done with a needle.
I'm just checking. Keep going. I'm just going to check your Instagram and see if I can find
it. Go to the very bottom.
God.
I initially got 2 of them on my back. Then, while living in Jakarta, I was going back and forth from Jakarta to Phuket every month.
Why?
I was spending a week. Visa issues. While my work permit was coming through, you have to leave every 30 days.
So you pretty much got a holiday every 30 days to a different country?
Yeah, it was when I got my work permit, I was devastated. Devastated. And then,
I'm still looking. So while I look for them, why do you regret them?
I don't regret them, bro. But if I could get rid of them easily, I probably would. But it's a long process, and from what I understand, if you do the laser thing, you can't go in the water, you can't go in the sun, and it's like a 10-month process. And I don't want to go through that.
Would you get rid of all of them? Like, there's one or two that you go, I love this, and I'm going to keep it forever.
I'd probably get rid of the sleeves and keep the ones on my back.
Yeah, get rid of the sleeves.
In saying that, there were times when I was working in the real estate where I thought customers might judge me for having tattoos.
Yeah.
and I didn't hide them. There you go. There's the process. I didn't hide them at all. And then I had some clients that would point out that it suits you and it's good and it's better than having an agent wearing a suit or
Yeah.
trying to look like they were hiding. You know? And at times I thought about hiding them, and I thought Bali's a small place. If I hide them when I'm with the client, and then they see me at somewhere else, and so why not just be real?
Why do you think hiding them would be beneficial for you?
I didn't. I had this stupid insecurity that people would have an instant judgmental attitude, and maybe it's an unprofessionalism they might have seen.
Okay.
But then I had the realization that if they do judge me instantly, and I can't squash that with how I'm acting and my professionalism and
Yeah.
how I'm treating them as a customer, then I'm not doing my job properly.
Yeah.
And it
So-
shouldn't matter if I've got tattoos or not.
No, it shouldn't. As long as you're doing your job, then it
Right.
doesn't matter.
That's right. And that was the case most of the time. I was good at breaking down the wall instantly and building that rapport with people.
Nice. Tell me, so the traditional tattoo for that whole back piece that we can see here, I think we can only see two of them.
Mm-hmm.
How long did it take and how much did it hurt?
Didn't hurt as much as I thought it would. It's a mental thing because it's like the speed of it is like this. Tick, 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 tick.
Yeah.
So it's like, and mentally, someone's sticking this steel rod into you. And man, the ink that they use for every tattoo artist who does them, it's their own concoction.
Oh.
And there's like skin and ash and blood and things you shouldn't be doing in Southeast Asian country, mate.
Is that why you regret it? Because of what's in it, or you just regret?
I know. Well, funnily enough, traditionally they use bamboo, but this guy used steel, and the reason that not everyone uses bamboo now is because the wood can hang on to bacteria and whatever.
Yeah.
Steel, they put a new steel tip on every time.
And how does this compare to traditional tattoos, like pain-wise?
Probably hurt more, I'd say, from memory. It's a long time ago.
While we're here, I might as well do a bit of a
Instagram deep dive
into your Instagram. Whilst we're on it, what is with this?
That guy was an employee who fell asleep at his desk. And I came back from, I think, lunch or something, and I could see him like that. I'm like, is he asleep? Agus was his name. Agus. So I'd get a sneaky selfie with him.
That is so good.
Then make him up.
And I've seen a few of these, the towel art in the hotels.
Yeah, just a Bali thing, man.
They all, like every hotel that you've been in has the same type of thing?
No, only certain ones.
Okay. Oh, look at the cute little monkeys. This is a amazing photo. I don't know who took it. Well, I do know who took it, actually. The composition of the photo, I think, really makes it.
I can't fault that photo at all.
No, not one bit.
There you go. See, scroll down. See, that's the GoPro. But that's when I bought the GoPro. So from then, the video started.
The video start? How many dogs are there in Bali? Like stray dogs?
A lot, man.
Why?
What do you mean, why? They breed.
Yeah, but is there no... I'm assuming there's no pound or council or something that's taking care of it. Like,
no, man. Lots of people, and mostly foreigners in Bali, will, if they find, sometimes it's very sad, man, but sometimes dogs just get dumped on the side of the road or whatever, and foreigners will get them and then put up on the social medias about, can you please adopt this puppy, or I found it in this state, and quite often they will take them to the vet, get all the shots, get them cleaned up, and then trying to find adoption homes for them. And there's actually people have set up organizations just for that.
When you were living in a villa, did you adopt a dog?
For a little bit, that's a very long story, but I was given a dog. Australia, you can't take dogs from Bali back to Australia.
Yeah.
It's one of the only countries that you can't do that. And an Australian lady was moving back, and an Indonesian lady that I knew that lady and was trying to find a home for the dog. The dog was amazing. It was a beagle. And I had to fly back for your engagement party.
Yep.
And an Indonesian friend of mine from Jakarta was coming to Bali, and I let him stay at my villa and look after the dog. The lady who gave me the dog didn't like that, took the dog back, and that was it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, didn't end well.
Oh, that's an awful scenario.
It was.
And was it no friends photography?
Yeah,
You
I
still
had to
doing
think of
that?
something. No, because I was playing on the whole Scott no friends
Yeah.
Aussie thing. Yeah, so I just made it no friends photography.
How much of your actual work business days look like this?
A lot,
So,
because at what happened was in the early stages, I ran into work permit issues with immigration, and I wasn't allowed to work in my office. If I was caught in my office, I would have been deported. So
okay.
I had to make do as much as I could outside of the office until the work permit issue was fixed, and then I was back in the office. So a lot of it I had to, and not only that, man. If you're meeting people, they don't want to come to your office. They're in Bali,
Yeah.
so you go and meet them at like a little beach bar or a cafe or something.
Yeah.
I
I'd much rather do
had
work there.
I rarely had meetings in my office. Rarely.
You've got a lot of quotes on your Instagram, which are all really nice or uplifting or build strength and character. Have you got a favorite quote?
Yeah, the one that's on my Facebook. Life's what I think it's a John Lennon quote. Life is what happens while you're busy making other plans.
And what does that mean to you?
Um, no matter how much you try or push or are trying to get your life in one direction, life is going to happen anyway. And it's a lot easier if you go with the flow instead of push back against the river.
It's really good. How do you
You might have,
go on.
yeah, keep going.
How do you use it? Like, how does it come up day to day, or what mental
Well,
struggles do you have where you use that?
for now, okay. 3 4 months ago, I
Yeah.
didn't expect to be back in Australia, not being able to get back to Bali, um, having a business which all of my customers have been cut off from the place I do business. Again, I could be sitting here fighting against the fact that I'm now stuck in Sydney. I've lost my apartment in Bali. My business is sitting there, but it's dormant with no way of generating any decent income.
Yeah.
And now I'm sitting here again, 40 years old, not knowing what the future holds. Now I could have a breakdown about that, or I could just roll with the punches. So again, I was planning on having a future in Bali with a successful real estate business, and life happened. Our nana got sick. I had to come back. No matter what, I was coming back.
Yeah.
Went through that process, and again, here I am, not knowing what's next, but that's life happening while I was busy making plans for something else to happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Make sense?
Yeah. You can't let other things get in the way of what you're doing.
Right. You've got to let life unfold and enjoy what it brings, what
You
it offers.
seem like you live in the present a lot more than you used to. Like you're more
I,
emotionally in the present instead of concentrating on the past or trying to figure out too much into the future. You live in the now about what's happening and
huge,
going on in your life right now.
huge lesson, brother. Huge lesson to learn.
When did that start
Was
happening?
to I don't know, man. I went through a whole, as you know, I started doing kung fu for a little bit, which
Praying
led me
mantis?
to, yeah, which came from, I was getting acupuncture from a guy who was also a sifu at the kung fu school. I went to do the kung fu a little bit. That led to him teaching us about qigong,
Yep.
which all led me into Buddhism, meditation. Did a lot of reading about that kind of stuff, and that started to get me on the path of not being attached to things, accepting things for how they were,
Yep.
not trying to change people or change things too much.
Yep. Accepting them
That
for
was
who they are, accept the
yeah,
situation for what it is.
exactly. That was the start of it. But I wasn't anywhere near where I am now, I had to put into practice over and over again. And then full credit to a couple of my mates, I'll give a shout out, Michael Harris and Benjamin Trengrove. They both introduced me to a guy called John D. Martini, and specifically one book called The Gratitude Effect. Now, this guy has a huge range of work, but that one book, The Gratitude Effect, had a huge influence on me. Basically, it's about no matter what the situation is or what's going on, that you can always find gratitude, even if you think it's bad. If you try hard enough and you put the effort into it, you can find the gratitude in any situation.
Yeah.
And so I had to go back through ex-girlfriends, past situations, our upbringing, our mum situation, the whole thing, and systematically find gratitude in all of it. And if you do that, when I did that, it kind of made everything like,
Yeah.
Understand?
Yeah. Takes a weight off your shoulders when you're not concentrating on the
Absolutely.
negative or
Absolutely.
get rid of the hatred.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing is to not judge people because you don't know what they're going through. And if they're acting out towards you, it's not personal towards you, it's their own stuff.
Well, there's a quote from one of your heroes, Joe Rogan, who, what does he say? They treat everyone like they're a baby, or he looks at everyone as if they're a baby.
I swear he stole that from me. I swear somehow he stole that from me. But yeah, same thing. I started looking at people, and this came from mum, man, honestly. And I heard it from him, and I was like, that's exactly how I'm feeling towards that, because with our mother, I constantly wanted her to be someone she wasn't. And I couldn't understand why she would do the things she would do, why she would treat us the way she treated us. And I took it all personally.
Yeah.
Until I looked at her as a little girl who was broken.
Yeah.
Right? Even in her older age, to me, she was still a little girl who had a lot of hurt, a lot of trauma, and had no idea how to process that.
Yeah.
And if I looked at her like that, then I just had this overwhelming feeling of empathy and gratitude towards her. And while she's not going to win any awards for Parent of the Year, I sincerely believe that she did the best she had the ability to do.
Yeah.
I don't think she set out to be the parent she was. I think she couldn't deal with what she went through.
Yeah.
Some people can handle life, some people can't handle life. And whatever happened to her, she just did not have the maturity or the skills to process it at the time, which led to her making life decisions, which led to her ended up the person that she was. And the best thing I ever did for myself was to accept that she was the way she was for her reasons, and it had nothing to do with me or you.
Yeah. And that's where you look at everyone and you can see the same thing. You don't know what trauma they've gone through. You don't know what problems they've gone through.
Right. Yeah. So I see myself, man, and some things I do in relationships, and I can link it back to what I've been through.
Yeah.
It's not personal against the other person. I'm not making a decision to hurt anyone else. I know it comes from me not processing shit I've been through. And then I can relate that to the same situation with mum and every other person in my life.
I think that's a really important skill that a lot of people don't have, of stepping away from themselves and assessing what they're doing.
I think people take things too personally.
Yeah.
It's rarely personal. Yeah. Something simple like if you accidentally cut someone off on the road and they're beeping and rah, 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 well, they're having a bad day. It's not because of me. It could be from their childhood. I have no idea. They might have had a fight with their wife or husband or whatever. In those instances now, as I get older, I want to stop them and just get out and give them a hug. Come here, bro. It's okay. Come here. You don't need to do this. You know?
That's how I feel in retail when I get a complaint. Like when an angry customer comes to me and starts yelling at me. It's got nothing to do with what I've done. It's got something to do with either the day that they're having or the week that they're having and the situation that they're in. And you can't take that personally. It's got nothing to do with you. You're having a bad day. You need someone to take it out for them. Let's just go. Just go. Let it all out. Just let it all out.
I'll be the punching bag. It's okay. But after you punch me, I want to hug.
Yeah.
Come here. That's one of the most important lessons I think I've learned in my life.
And
Only took me 40 years, but I got there.
as long as you got there, it does not matter the time frame.
Right.
You're an emotional person.
Hang on. It's a bit aggressive.
No, in a good way, in a positive way. But
Yeah.
what makes you cry?
Remember the Titans.
Yeah, I saw that.
No, okay, so rewinding again, and everything, it's funny how everything comes back to mum.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember this, but early mid-20s, I went and saw a therapist
Yeah.
about mum's issues or my issues with mum. And he was doing some things with me to try and get me to bring emotions from my stomach area up to get them out, right?
And that's so you had a lot of stomach issues when you were younger too, like IBS and things like that. Do you think was caused by
Correct.
stress?
Absolutely. Now,
Yeah,
absolutely not stress. It was not expressing emotions.
yeah, holding it in.
And that's what he said to me straight away. Most of the time, any issues with digestion is not processing things, especially emotions.
Yeah.
And after a few sessions, he said, look, he was trying to get me to express emotions in the sessions, and I couldn't. I just couldn't get the tears or whatever to come out.
Yeah.
But he just said to me, look, don't be surprised if it starts coming out later on. And I was watching The Last Samurai.
The Tom Cruise movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
At the end, when the samurai guy is dying and he says something like, I really enjoyed our conversations.
Yep.
That for some reason triggered me. It was like 11 o'clock at night and I cried for an hour. I went and got in the shower and I continued to cry. And I remembered what the therapist said to me. He said, look, if it does start, try and keep it going because you have to get all the shit out.
Yeah.
You literally have to get the shit out that's causing the digestive problems. It's holding on to shit, right? So that happened, and then that made me comfortable with, okay, choosing a quiet night when I'm alone, putting on a movie. The Notebook used to get me. I used to strategically choose movies I thought would get me, just so I could trigger the response to get everything out.
What's a movie that you didn't think would make you cry that made you cry?
Remember the Titans.
That's a sad part though. I remember you text me a movie.
Which part was the sad part at the end?
I remember the Titans.
No.
Yeah, when he gets hit by the car and stuff.
I was crying at the happy parts of the movie. where they score the winning touchdown.
Yeah.
That would get me. That, and even now, Ted Lasso. Have you watched Ted Lasso yet?
Yeah, I watched season 1. It's really good.
The happy parts make me cry, not the sad parts. You know, so it's funny what things trigger you.
Why do you think the happy parts set you off?
I don't know. I think it's like the triumph
with emotion.
No, I don't know. Well, again, I'm watching Ted Lasso after our grandmother just passed away, so I'm already emotional. Again, but I'm using things like that to trigger me to make sure I get it out because I don't want to start burying anything again.
Yeah.
A lesson I learned is even if it's anger, go to the gym and fucking kick the shit out of the heavy bag for an hour.
Yeah.
And I was doing that in Bali a lot too. That was my meditation. Stress from work, especially when COVID hit Bali and it impacted my business severely and I didn't know whether I could survive or not.
Yeah.
That was a lot of going to the gym, Muay Thai, boxing, whatever, and getting out because if I don't get that out, that gets stored in my body and shit happens that I don't want to happen.
It's really good. It's a really positive way of dealing with your emotions instead of boxing them up and putting them away.
You know, something else I used to do back on the Gold Coast with at the height of one of Mum's episode drama things.
Yeah.
I'd drive around in my car alone, screaming like guttural, animalistic roars to get the anger and emotion out.
Yeah.
If someone saw me through the window, I looked like a crazy person. But it was anything I could do, man, to get, I knew from that therapy session and what happened after that, no matter what happened in my life, you've got to get the emotion out.
Yeah.
once the emotion's out, then you can start to work through it and process it and whatever you've got to do. But you've got to feel the emotion, not run from it.
Yeah, holding on to that stuff will just weigh you down continuously. And you
Ruins
take it out on
you, right?
everyone. You take it out on relatives,
Ruins you.
friends, colleagues.
Yeah.
And most of all yourself.
It affects your physical body.
Yeah.
It affects your physiology.
Yeah, well, I know that because I put on a bunch of weight because I was drinking so much when Nan got sick. And instead of dealing with emotions, I was just suppressing it with alcohol.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
This happened to me. This happened to me after Mum passed away. So as you know, me and you were both in palliative care with her. I flew back to Bali, thinking that I had processed everything.
Yeah.
And I was in a new relationship, 1 month new relationship. Mum passed away. I fly back to Bali, and I think I'm okay, but I'm building walls of defense. Don't want to communicate. Intimacy issues. Not interested. Drinking almost every day, even if it was 1 or 2 beers at home.
Yeah.
Didn't realize what I was doing. Again, was self-medicating and not properly processing the emotional trauma of losing your mother.
Did you realize what you were doing, or did Anna point it out to you?
Anna pointed it out to me, and then I realized what I was doing.
Yeah.
Because to me, in my head, I was okay.
Yeah.
That's finished. Now we're moving on back to business. But at the same time, COVID was hitting.
Yeah.
So at the same time, I got back to Bali just before they closed the airport. Like I think I was at the Singapore airport, and the lady at the duty-free counter said, "You're lucky you're leaving tonight. They're closing the airport at midnight tonight."
Wow.
So I got out of Singapore, got back to Bali, and then the whole world shut down. So at the same time, I'm trying to deal with the whole mum passing away issue. My business, my ability to earn revenue for the company was severely impacted because all of the foreign investors who were my target market were no longer coming into Bali, and the ones that were there were not ready to spend $200,000, $400,000, $1 million on a villa. It just wasn't happening. So there was a lot of things going on at the same time, and I was making bad decisions throughout that whole year. That was 2020. It wasn't the best year.
Yeah, I'm just going to move it on to something a little bit lighter. Now that Nan's passed away, are you willing to admit that you're a smoker?
I don't smoke. What are you talking about? I don't smoke. Why do you think I smoke?
Yeah, that's fine. I was just checking if you were still going to hold on to that after never had a cigarette before.
I know there were times again when I first moved to Bali. I wasn't smoking in Jakarta. When I first moved to Bali, I would have the occasional cigarette from someone else who had a packet. I never bought my own packet of cigarettes.
Yeah, that was always your argument with Nan too. I'm not a smoker because I've never bought a pack.
That was my defense mechanism. No, but again, one day, and this happened maybe when I got back from Mum passing away, I just felt sick. Like I didn't feel like touching it. Even when I was having a drink or I was out somewhere, which is the places I would have a cigarette.
Yeah.
Was with a beer or something else. I just didn't want to touch it. Just instantly went no way.
That's really good. It's really good.
I don't know why, man. I just felt like this is not healthy. Obviously it's not healthy. Why am I doing it? Doesn't do anything for me.
The other thing I want to touch on is in your spare time, like for relaxation or whatever, you play a lot of golf. Would you consider yourself an avid golfer?
That's a new thing. Yeah. Again, that was Anna. She got me into it again because I was like, who the fuck plays golf? Like, and then I went and had fun and I enjoyed the mental challenge.
Yeah.
And it was good to get out and walk around a golf course. It's like there's fresh air, there's trees. It's an enjoyable way to spend your day. And I would much rather have quiet nights on the weekend.
Yeah.
And get up in the morning and either go and play golf or go and lay on the beach for half a day. Do things like that. That became what I enjoyed far more than going out and partying or drinking or whatever.
Yeah. And from a scale of 1 to being awful at golfing and 10 to being, on par with the course, how do you reckon you are?
I'm practically on the PGA Tour.
Practically on the PGA. No, honestly, how do you think you are?
No, I'm a very much beginner. I was shooting. I don't know if you know the terminology, but I was between 20 and 30 over par.
Yeah. Now,
That was an average thing.
I'm just going to play a video. If you can just run us through
You're not going to play this. Not my finest moment. You can't play the audio, can you?
No, I probably shouldn't either.
But what makes this funnier is Anna laughing in the background.
I love that soon you'll see. So I think it's this one where they come up to try and help you.
No, that's in the other video, the driving one. Yeah. I
just don't understand how you keep missing it.
It was almost in the hole, man. Look at that. Golf's the game of
patience, and you need to literally. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, your microphone's gone really weird.
Yeah, that's okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah. Yeah, the microphone's just real deep.
Okay, yeah, the headset just died.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say, man. This was one of those moments.
Just one of those moments?
One of those moments.
And how would you explain this one then?
Okay, same thing.
Also one of those moments. Is this the same day?
Same day. Same day. We played 18 holes and I was exhausted.
I love this one so much. Is this better than the putting one?
The water. Give me another ball. Hurry the fuck up.
Look at that. How many balls did you go through?
This caddy here, this caddy's name's Venti, and she's a really good golf player.
Yeah.
She gives really good advice, but when I'm at that stage and I'm frustrated, there's no good luck telling me anything. I know more than you. Go away.
That's so good. Oh God! Did you end up actually hitting it in the end, or did you just give up? Just throw it and give up?
I put the driver away and picked up an iron and just hit it like I should have hit it from the start.
Oh God, hilarious! That makes me so happy. There's another saying called "celebrate your power." What do you think your power is?
Ooh, power. I would say shape-shifting. What I mean by that is...
Yeah, not like turn into someone else.
Reptilians coming out. Yeah. I would say being able to adjust, to change my energy or vibe, depending on who I'm talking to and what situation.
Yeah. Okay.
So I can vibe with a bunch of tradies.
Yeah.
Or I can sit in a boardroom with CEOs and COOs and CFOs and be comfortable in either situation by adjusting, shape-shifting to the situation.
Beautiful.
Important when I was doing the real estate job because you deal with a range of different people.
Yeah.
And if you're negotiating deals, you're negotiating with this person and you're in between. You can't come with the same energy with that person that you can with that person.
Yeah.
You need to be able to pick that up. And I think that comes, man, from, again, all comes back to mum, is to when you walked into a situation with mum, you had to quickly figure out where we were, what energy, what was going on, what level she was at.
What personality she's got today.
Exactly. And you had to adjust straight away.
Yeah.
We both have that, I think.
Yeah. It's such a weird skill that you don't see a lot of people having. They go into every situation with the same energy or the same behaviors or the same attitude, and it just doesn't work out for them. And you can see these people that are just gonna crash and burn, or that make themselves an awkward situation that doesn't need to be awkward.
And again, man, if you come back to the whole gratitude effect thing from that book, well, that's something I'm very grateful for from mum.
Yeah, I'll link I'll link that book in the bio too, so people can have a look at it.
Yeah. I don't know if you can get it more, but I had the audio book, I think.
I'm sure we'll be able to track it down. Amazon's got everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there that I guess we just never really sat down and talked about that I really enjoyed.
Hey, what a better place to talk about it.
I know. I wish you could be here and we could be doing it over a beer in person, but it's only a matter of time.
While doing a podcast at the same time.
Yeah. All right, I'm just going to finish off with a few quick fire questions. A bit of a speed dating round. Just give me the first thing that comes to your head. All right.
Yep.
Reverse or drive forward into a car park?
Reverse, because I was a truck driver and I have to do it by default.
Favorite color? Colorblind.
Blue.
You sure it's blue?
Could be purple.
First CD you brought?
Ooh. Nirvana Unplugged.
Favorite season?
Summer.
What do you have for breakfast?
Black coffee.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs, but also cats.
Do you exercise?
Almost every day.
Invite anyone dead or alive for dinner. Who is it?
Yoda.
Favorite thing about yourself?
My awesome brother,
Who's your hero?
Michael Jordan.
Last song or band you listen to?
Ooh. Ooh. For that boy.
What makes you happy?
Life.
Favorite thing to cook?
Steak.
What do you drink on a night out?
Depends on how big it is, but if it's big, vodka, lime soda.
If you could be someone else for a day, who would it be?
Michael Jordan.
Do you call or text?
Text.
Title of your autobiography?
Ooh. Ooh. Life's what happens when you're busy making other plans.
Do you believe in aliens?
Absolutely.
What makes you laugh?
People falling over.
And did you have fun on our date today?
Loved it, man.
Beautiful. That is all I need to hear. Thank you very much again for coming on. And I'll talk to you soon.
Before you hang up, I'm going to say how much I love you as my brother, how much I'm proud of you, and how much I appreciate you as a man and as a brother, as a human being, as a parent to my beautiful nieces and to your lovely soon-to-be wife, Tanya. Don't cry. I can see you're about to cry.
I promised myself I wasn't going to, and my goal here was to make you cry during this whole podcast. So I'm going to end it there. Thank you. I appreciate you too. I love you, brother.
Thanks.